Have you ever laid awake at 3 a.m., your mind racing through 1,000 different worries? You try to solve problems that haven't happened yet, replaying conversations from days ago. What if the very tool you rely on to navigate life, your mind, has become a cage? In this video, we won't just talk about quieting the noise. We'll unlock the door. Most of us believe that thinking more helps us control life more. We analyze, we strategize, we worry, thinking it's a form of protection. But the great masters of the mind told the opposite. True power isn't found in thinking more, but in becoming the master of your thoughts. Stay with me, and I'll share 10 ancient secrets to reclaim your peace from the tyranny of an overactive mind. Imagine your mind is a vast, beautiful sky, but for years, you've been fixated on every single cloud that passes, the dark storm clouds of worry, the gray clouds of regret, the fleeting white clouds of desire. You've forgotten that you are not the cloud, you are the sky itself. This video is a journey to remember that vast, peaceful stillness that has always been within you. Many of us have been taught that overthinking is the sign of intelligence, a form of careful preparation. We believe that if we just analyze every possible outcome, every potential misstep, we can somehow shield ourselves from disappointment and pain. But what is the true cost of this mental marathon? In reality, thinking too much doesn't lead to solutions. It often leads to a profound sense of mental exhaustion, a constant hum of anxiety, and a deep emotional fatigue that colors our entire world. When our minds are endlessly spinning, replaying events from the past like a broken record, or projecting our deepest fears onto a future that doesn't yet exist, we lose the most precious gift we have, our connection to what is real, to what truly matters, this present moment. But in the deep well of Buddhist wisdom, there is a powerful understanding of the mind. It teaches us that calming this inner storm doesn't mean suppressing our feelings or ignoring our problems. It means learning to approach them with a newfound clarity, a sense of inner space, and a profound compassion. In this video, you will discover 10 timeless Buddhist teachings designed to gently ease mental overactivity and help you find a resilient inner peace. Even when life feels completely overwhelming, the first lesson is perhaps the most fundamental. 1. Watch your thoughts like clouds drifting across the sky. Your mind will always generate thoughts, just as your heart will always beat and your lungs will always breathe air. It is its nature. It is a continuous, unstoppable flow. But here is the secret. You do not have to follow every single thought that arises. You don't have to board every train of thought that pulls into the station of your mind. Most of our suffering doesn't come directly from the thoughts themselves, but from how tightly we cling to them. It comes from the power we unconsciously give them to define our reality. Imagine yourself sitting peacefully on a quiet, sun-drenched hill, looking up at the vast blue expanse. A thought passes, a worry, a memory, a plan, like a single white cloud. You don't jump up and chase it. You don't try to hold onto it or force it to change shape. You simply notice it. You acknowledge its presence. Let it drift by, and then you return your awareness to the stillness of the sky. This simple act of observing without attachment can bring a surprising, almost immediate sense of relief when you create even a small, gentle distance from your thoughts. It feels as if your chest opens up and a heavy weight you didn't even realize you were carrying finally lifts. At first, this is not easy, of course not. The mind is conditioned, through years of habit, to pull you into its dramatic stories, especially when you're feeling hurt, anxious, or reliving a difficult memory. But with time and steady, patient practice, this habit of gentle observation becomes more natural. And in that space between you and your thoughts, that's where your freedom lies. It is the profound realization that you are not your thoughts. You are the silent, spacious awareness in which they come and go. Now, let's move to the second teaching. 2. Simplify your worries. The mind has a natural tendency to overcomplicate everything. It's like a magnifying glass that zooms in on tiny, insignificant details, invents problems that don't exist, endlessly replays awkward moments from a week ago, and clings to every piece of irrelevant noise. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, we start to feel heavy, scattered, and utterly drained by this internal chaos. But what if, in the middle of that spiral, you could pause and ask yourself a simple, powerful question? Does this truly matter? Or even more pointedly, will this thought still hold any importance in a week, a month, or a year? More often than not, the answer that echoes back from your inner wisdom is a quiet, resounding no, and that realization, in itself, is liberating. Simplifying your thoughts is like decluttering a messy room. You consciously decide to remove what's unnecessary, to let go of what's outdated and no longer serves you. And in doing so, you make space for clarity and peace. This practice doesn't mean you avoid your real problems. On the contrary, it means you are learning to discern what is actually worth your precious mental and emotional energy. You'll find that when your mind isn't occupied with every minor irritation or every what-if scenario, you are able to focus more clearly and calmly on the things that truly do matter: your health, your loved ones, your growth, and your peace of mind. The third lesson is a powerful one that can change your relationship with time itself. 3. Let go of the past and stop obsessing over the future. One of the mind's favorite and most painful traps is dragging us through time, yanking us back to what's already happened or pushing us forward into what hasn't yet arrived. We become ghosts haunting the hallways of our own history, replaying old mistakes, nursing regrets, or reliving heartbreaks. Or we become anxious prophets, projecting into the future and imagining worst-case scenarios that may never, ever happen, and all of that frantic time travel pulls us away from the only place where life is real, where we have any power at all. Right here, right now, the present is the only moment where life truly exists. Everything else is just memory or imagination. Yes, the past can teach us valuable lessons, but we don't need to build a house and live there. The future can be planned for, certainly, but it cannot be perfectly predicted or controlled. When we spend too much of our energy in either direction, we miss out on the simple, tangible beauty of what's happening right in front of us. a quiet conversation with a friend, the feeling of a gentle breeze on our skin, an unexpected opportunity for kindness. The Buddhist path gently but persistently reminds us to return to the now, again and again, because it is in the now that healing begins. The now holds the doorway to peace, to wisdom, to truth, and slowly, as you practice simply being here, you will find that the sharp sting of yesterday and the looming fear of tomorrow begin to soften and lose their grip. Which leads us beautifully to our fourth teaching, which is simple but deeply transformative. 4. Cultivate gratitude for the little things. So often, we postpone our happiness, waiting for grand events to feel joy. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy once I get that promotion, once I find a partner, once everything in my life aligns perfectly. But the most lasting and authentic happiness often grows in the humble soil of small, quiet blessings that we overlook every day. The warmth of a meal, a kind glance from a stranger, a moment of profound silence after a long, noisy day. When we begin to consciously notice and appreciate these seemingly insignificant details, our hearts begin to open in a different, more sustainable way. Gratitude is a powerful practice that shifts our entire mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. It gently invites us to stop measuring what's missing from our lives and to stop truly acknowledging what's already here. And let's be clear, this isn't about pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's about training your eyes and your heart to see the beauty and grace that coexist with our challenges. Even in the most imperfect of circumstances, in Buddhism, gratitude is considered a powerful form of presence, because when you are truly grateful, you are fully awake, you are paying attention, you are recognizing that life, even in its most mundane simplicity, is utterly filled with small, breathtaking miracles. The fifth teaching may be the most personal and challenging of all, yet it is the key to unlocking all the others. 5. Be compassionate with yourself. This world often rewards perfectionism, high performance, and the ability to push through pain without complaint. And in that process, many of us have learned to speak to ourselves with a relentless harshness and impatience that we would never direct at anyone else. We criticize our flaws, we judge our mistakes, and we hold ourselves to impossibly high standards. But what if you could consciously change that inner voice? What if, instead of an inner critic, you chose to become your own source of comfort, your own best friend? Self-compassion means radically accepting your own humanity. It means remembering that you are allowed to be imperfect, you are allowed to rest, you are allowed to feel, and you are always allowed to begin again. When you stumble, instead of the habitual question, "What is wrong with me?" try asking a gentler, more supportive one, "What do I need right now?" That subtle shift is profound. Buddhism teaches that true healing doesn't start with fixing ourselves as if we were broken machines. It starts with gentle, loving awareness. It starts with offering yourself the exact same kindness, patience, and understanding you would offer to someone you deeply love. And here's a beautiful truth that many of us forget. Being kind to yourself inevitably makes you kinder to others. When you hold space for your own struggles and imperfections, you naturally become more patient, more understanding, and more present with the world around you. Compassion always starts within, and from that nourished center, it expands outward, touching your family, your friendships, and even strangers you meet along the way. A kind heart is not weak. It is strong in the quietest, most resilient, and most powerful way. The sixth teaching that Buddhism offers is both incredibly humble and utterly life-changing. 6. Accept what you cannot control. If we look closely, one of the primary causes of our emotional exhaustion is the constant, draining effort to manage everything: other people's opinions, future outcomes, their expectations, the relentless march of time. But the deep truth is, no matter how carefully we plan or how hard we try, some things will simply not go according to our designs. Events will unfold in unexpected ways. People will make choices we don't understand. Life will surprise us, and when we resist these fundamental truths, we multiply our own suffering. Acceptance is not giving up. It is not passivity or weakness. It is profound strength disguised in softness. It is the quiet wisdom of knowing what belongs to you and what does not. You can control your choices, your words, your effort, your breath, but you cannot, and were never meant to, control how others feel, what they ultimately do, or how the great river of life unfolds. The more we try to grip everything with tight, white-knuckled fists, the more we end up exhausted, frustrated, and disappointed. The Buddhist path invites us to gently open our hands and let go, not with a sense of resignation, but with a deep and abiding trust. Trust that even if things don't happen the way you expected, they can still bring you valuable lessons and growth. And here's something curious that happens when we truly accept that not everything is in our hands. A new and unfamiliar kind of peace begins to bloom within us. It's the kind of calm that says, I have done my part with integrity and heart. Now, I release the rest. You feel lighter, more open. You're no longer trapped in the exhausting cycle of overthinking and control. And your mind finally has the space it needs to breathe again. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like every situation. It simply means you make peace with reality as it is, so you can choose to respond wisely rather than react blindly. The seventh teaching is a deeply practical tool you can use at any moment of any day. 7. Return to the present moment. Time and time again, our thoughts pull us in two directions: into the regrets of the past or the anxieties of the future. And every time we follow them on these journeys, we lose the singular opportunity to truly live the only moment we ever have, this one. But when we learn to return to the now, to truly, fully return, something powerful happens. We come home, we reconnect with our own life force. Sometimes, the journey back takes only a single breath, just one slow, intentional, conscious breath. Can you feel the air entering your nostrils? Can you notice the gentle rise and fall of your chest? The way the breath leaves your body, carrying with it a little bit of tension. That's it. In that moment, you are back. You are alive. The present moment doesn't have to be extraordinary to be meaningful. The simple act of drinking a glass of water, watching the sky change colors at sunset, or holding someone's hand when you can really be with these moments, when your mind isn't lost in what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. You begin to realize just how rich and full your life already is. Buddhist teachers often say, when you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But try it. Put your phone away. Let your swirling thoughts quiet down for just a minute. Just be with the experience as it is. This is the heart of mindfulness. It's not some trendy wellness word. It is a doorway to genuine freedom. And the more you practice this gentle returning, the more it becomes a natural part of who you are. You'll notice your karma in conversations, more grounded when making decisions, and far more patient in moments of stress. The mind stops its frantic rushing, and the heart finally feels more anchored and at home. Now, before we continue to the final teachings on this path, I'd like to take a brief pause and say something important from the heart. If this video, this shared message, or even just one single sentence has brought you a moment of clarity or peace, I'd love to gently invite you to subscribe to this channel, not as just another follower, not as a number in a sea of statistics, but as a fellow traveler on this path. And if something here truly resonated with you, please share it in the comments below. Tell me what touched your heart, or perhaps share this video with someone you care about, not because it's content, but because it might be the very comfort or perspective they didn't know they needed today. Here, we are building more than a channel. We're cultivating a space for reflection, healing, and quiet strength. Your voice is welcome here. Your presence is honored. So please, stay. Let's continue to walk this path together. With that, let's return to our journey. The 8th teaching is both ancient in its origins and perfectly suited for our modern world. 8. Practice meditation, not for perfection, but for presence. Let's clear up a misconception. You do not need to be a monk in a remote monastery. You don't need special incense, absolute silence, or even a cushion on the floor. All you truly need is a few minutes and the gentle intention to pause and simply be with yourself. Sit down comfortably, close your eyes if you wish, and bring your full attention to the sensation of your breath. That's it. That is the beginning, and it is always enough. Inevitably, your thoughts will wander. You'll think about your to-do list, a conversation you had, or what you'll have for dinner. That's okay. You are not doing it wrong. That is what minds do. The point of meditation isn't to erase thought. It's to learn to observe your thoughts without being swept away by them. Think of meditation as giving your mind a gentle, warm bath. It washes away the accumulated noise, the mental clutter, the relentless rush of modern life. You might feel restless at first, or bored, or impatient. That is normal, but slowly, and I mean very slowly, something begins to shift. Your breath deepens, your shoulders drop, you begin to soften on the inside. With regular practice, meditation becomes far more than a morning ritual. It becomes a refuge, a quiet, safe place you can return to no matter what chaos is unfolding outside. When the world feels too loud, when your thoughts begin to spiral, when your emotions feel too big to handle, meditation becomes your anchor, Even just 5 minutes a day is enough to start fundamentally changing the way you relate to your own mind. You become less reactive, more aware, and far more gentle with yourself and the world. The ninth teaching flows naturally and beautifully from this place of inner stillness. 9. Trust the rhythm of life. So much of our daily anxiety comes from trying to force things. From trying to bend life to our will, we try to force timelines, outcomes, and expectations. We demand answers now. We crave closure, certainty, and a neat resolution to every problem. But as we all know, life rarely works that way. Life unfolds in seasons. Some seasons are fast, vibrant, and full of sunlight. Others are slow, quiet, and filled with long, dark nights of introspection. When you learn to trust the rhythm of things, you start to let go of that frantic inner urgency. You stop needing everything to happen all at once. You begin to see that life has its own profound intelligence, and that things often happen not when we want them to, but when we are truly ready to receive them. That's not always easy to accept, but it is a deeply freeing perspective. Let go of the painful belief that you are behind in life. You are not. Your path is yours and yours alone. Your timing is uniquely yours. What is meant for you will not miss you, and what misses you was never truly yours to begin with. The Buddhist perspective gently reminds us that resistance to what is creates suffering, but trust opens up a vast space for peace to enter. Let's revisit that last teaching for a moment before we continue, because it is so crucial. Trusting the rhythm of life doesn't mean we stop making plans or that we give up on our dreams. On the contrary, it means we plant our seeds with intention. We water them, we care for them with all our hearts, and then we trust that the soil, the sun and the seasons will do their part. It means understanding that growth doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Some progress is loud, visible, and fast, but other, often more significant progress is subtle, silent, and slow, like the roots of a great tree growing deep and strong in the dark before it can ever rise toward the sky. Sometimes, when it feels like things are standing still, they are actually shifting and realigning in profound ways we can't yet see. You might not feel it today, but you are healing. You might not notice it in this moment, but you are learning, and life, in its quiet and patient way, is preparing what's next for you. When you trust this flow, you stop pushing so hard against yourself. You make room for wonder to return. You begin to sense that life is not a task to be solved, but a beautiful mystery to be lived. And that realization, in itself, brings a profound and lasting peace. This brings us to the 10th and final teaching for our time together today. It is perhaps the simplest of all. 10. Breathe deeply and slow down. We live in a world that worships speed. Everything needs to be fast. Our responses, our results, even our healing. But your soul, your inner being, does not move at that frantic pace. Your inner world blooms like nature does, in cycles, in pauses, in its own unhurried rhythm. Slowing down is not a luxury. It is a biological and spiritual necessity. It is a conscious act of returning to yourself, and the gateway to that return is always available through your breath. In the middle of a stressful day, just take a single, conscious breath, not a shallow one from the top of your chest, but the deep, grounded inhale. Feel your lungs expand, your ribs widen, your belly soften. Then, let it go slowly, gently, as if you are releasing everything you're holding onto. That one breath has the power to interrupt the spiral of anxiety, to bring you back into your body, and to send a powerful signal to your nervous system. You're safe. You're here. You can do this anywhere, while waiting in traffic, walking through your home, standing in line at the store, or sitting at your desk. These little pauses are like opening windows in a crowded, stuffy room. They let fresh air in. They let you in. When you consciously slow down, everything changes. You start to notice the warmth of the sunlight on your skin, the actual taste of your food, the kindness in someone's voice. You begin to live more and rush less. And no, this does not mean abandoning your responsibilities. Slowing down doesn't mean being lazy or inefficient. It means choosing presence over pressure. It means taking care of your own energies so that you can show up to your life fully. Not as a burned out, fragmented version of yourself, but as a whole, real, and grounded human being. Buddhism has always honored the profound power of a single breath, not as a complex technique, but as a simple reminder. You are alive, right now, in this moment, and that is enough. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need anyone's permission to pause. Your worth is not tied to your productivity. It is tied to your being, to your heart, your soul, your precious presence on this earth. So go ahead, exhale, and let yourself simply be. As we begin to bring this part of our journey to a close, take a moment to feel how far we've come. From learning to observe your faults without judgment to embracing the present. Practicing gratitude, offering yourself compassion, and trusting the timing of your life. These teachings are not just abstract ideas. They are powerful invitations. Invitations to live differently, to live more gently, more deeply, and more fully. They are not rigid rules. They are living practices, ready to be explored. These 10 principles are the very foundations for building a more peaceful mind. But a true sanctuary requires more than just a foundation. It requires an understanding of the subtle architecture of our inner world, the habits that form its walls, and the beliefs that become its roof. These 10 principles are the very foundations for building a more peaceful mind. But a true sanctuary isn't built in a day. It is built moment by moment, breath by breath, and this is where the real work and the real beauty of the path begins. These teachings are not destinations to arrive at. They are pathways to be walked. Every single day, even if it's just for 1 minute, you don't have to achieve some perfect state of enlightenment. You don't have to transform your entire personality overnight. You just have to gently, humbly begin. A single conscious breath in the middle of chaos. A single moment of choosing awareness over distraction. A single kind word offered to yourself when the inner critic starts to speak. That is the birthplace of peace. That is where it all begins. And perhaps, right now, as you listen, there is something stirring inside of you, a quiet knowing, a gentle whisper from a deeper part of yourself. It's a feeling that says, this is the way, not the direction of escape, or denial, or forceful control, but the direction of truth, of kindness, of genuine, resilient peace. This journey we've shared doesn't end when this video fades to black. These teachings don't close a chapter in your life, they gently open a new one. A chapter that you get to walk with your own steps, at your own unique and perfect pace. And as you do, I hope you remember that it is always okay to start over. It is always okay to rest when you are weary. It is not just okay, but wise, not to know all the answers. Because life is not asking you to be perfect. It is only ever asking you to be present. So here we are, 10 teachings, 10 invitations, 10 quiet doorways leading you back to the sanctuary of yourself. Maybe as you listened, one of them stood out to you like a bright lantern in a thick fog. Maybe more than one resonated deeply, or maybe this was simply a welcome moment of calm, a sacred pause in your day where you remembered something vitally important, that there is a part of you, beneath all the noise and struggle, that is always whole, always present, and always enough. These Buddhist teachings aren't about following a rigid set of rules or trying to become someone different. They are about the gentle art of removing the layers that obscure your light, the layers of noise, of rush, of judgment, so you can reconnect with the essence of what has always been there. Your natural clarity, your steady breath, your soft, wise inner voice. That voice isn't loud or demanding, but it is real, and when the world feels overwhelming and your mind is spinning, it is that voice that will gently and lovingly guide you home. You don't need to master all of this at once. Please, let that pressure go. Let these teachings settle into you like a soft rain into the soil, nourishing you in ways you may not see at first. You can come back to them and to this space anytime you need. One day, you'll sit down to breathe for just a minute and realize it feels easier, more natural than before. One morning, you'll catch yourself being kind to your own heart without even having to try. That is what growth feels like. It's not a thunderclap of enlightenment, but the quiet, steady presence of you changing in the most beautiful and subtle of ways. And maybe, just maybe, this video has planted something within you, something that doesn't need to be explained or labeled, a tiny seed of calm, a renewed sense of hope, a quiet desire to keep going on your journey. But this time, a little lighter, a little softer, a little more aware. If it did, if this moment we've shared meant something to you, I would love to ask you for something, not as a creator asking for clicks and metrics, but as one human being sharing this small, quiet corner of the internet with another. Would you consider subscribing to this channel, not because you feel you should, but because you feel a sense of belonging here? This can be your space, too, a sanctuary where it's okay to feel deeply, a space where you don't have to be perfect, only present, a space where we walk this path together, not as teacher and student, but as fellow travelers, each of us simply trying to live with a little more meaning and a lot more peace. This isn't a community built on numbers. It's one being built on presence, on reflection, on genuine connection. You are not just a viewer here. You are a valued part of this journey, and I am genuinely and deeply grateful that you have walked this far with me today. Before we end, let's revisit the heart of these 10 teachings one last time, not as a list to be memorized, but as a gentle blessing to carry with you. May you learn to watch your faults as clouds, knowing you are the sky. May you simplify your worries and find freedom in letting go. May you release the grip on yesterday and tomorrow, and find your home in the now. May you practice gratitude for the smallest of gifts. May you treat yourself with the boundless compassion you so freely offer to others. May you find strength in accepting what you cannot control. May you always remember the path back to the present moment. May you meditate with gentleness, not with pressure. May you trust the unfolding of your life, letting it bloom in its own sacred time. And finally, may you slow down and breathe, for there is no rush to simply being. These are not just spiritual concepts, they are lifelines, always within your reach. You don't need to climb a mountain or retreat into silence for weeks. You just need to remember. And when you forget, as we all do, you simply and kindly begin again. Thank you for being here, truly, not just for watching, but for opening your mind and heart to something deeper. This space, this journey, would not be the same without your presence. Take one more deep breath with me now, slow, present, kind. Carry these teachings with you, not as a weight of things you must do, but as quiet companions for the road ahead. Until we meet again, please take gentle care of yourself. Be tender with your journey.